All righty, this is not ESPN. 30 for 30, however it is, my 98 for 98. The 98 seasons in the history of the New York Football Giants. I'm going to try to get it done in 98 days. That's probably not going to happen, but I am going to get it done before the beginning of the season starts, which starts September 10th against those Dallas Cowboys. And we're at up to the 2006 season, the season before the magical 2007 season. So at the 2006 season, which just happened to be the 82nd season in the history of the New York Football Giants. As I mentioned in my video, my 2005 video, the Giants, prior in the past, have made the playoffs 3 years in a row, twice. 33, 34, 35, 1984, 85, 86. But with Tom Coughlin, of course, Mr. Eli Manning, starting in 2005, they started out on a venture of 4. And this is, hopefully Dable and Saquon and all that. Hopefully they wind up smashing that number. But the 4 playoff years in a row is the magical number. And that's the benchmark, right? So 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, the Giants went to the playoffs. So 2006, the Giants just snuck in. It was an up and down season. They just snuck in with a record of 8-8, and they did get lucky. They had a couple of the games. One of them against the Titans, which I'll go over, is just an absolute gut-wrenching loss. But they snuck in with a record of 8-8 as a wild card. Of course, they would lose in the first round to the Eagles. This would be the Jeff Garcia era, right? Because then in 2007, the Giants would face Jeff Garcia once again. But this time, once again, it would be with a different team. And so Jeff Garcia tried to become, and I think it, still holds true. I could be wrong, but Jeff Garcia in 2007 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tried to become the first quarterback ever to beat the same team 3 times in the playoffs with 3 different teams, meaning Garcia beat the Giants with the 49ers in 2002. Jeff Garcia is the quarterback. I think Donovan McNabb was injured. So Jeff Garcia stepped in and this season in 2006 when the Giants played the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. Jeff Garcia beat the Giants with the Eagles, and in 2000, playing for the Eagles, and in 2007, Jeff Garcia was playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when so the Giants faced in the first round, and so Jeff Garcia, beat the Giants with the 49ers in 2002. He beat the Giants in 2006 with the Eagles, and so in 2007 he was trying to beat the Giants for the 3rd time with the 3rd different team. But of course, we all know that didn't happen. But Jeff Garcia, he knocked the Giants out. It was a gut wrencher to the loss, the playoff loss. But so the Giants, just snuck in. With a record of 8-8. Now they did get lucky because there were 4 teams that had records of 8-8, and luckily the Giants were won the tiebreaker out of those 4 teams. We'll go over that, just a little while here. But the Giants, the one of 4 teams that were 8-8, bidding for the last wild card spot, and the Giants wound up capturing it. So Giants lucked out. No, I'm not lucked. I mean, they earned it. They deserved it and all everything. But it was an up and down season. But you can see once again the Giants were building and building and building, and and it had all their offensive line was intact. They had all the guys. They had Seibert. They had Deal, they had O'Hara, they had Snead, they had McKenzie. Of course, and they still had they had Shockey, had Plexico Park. Setting all stuff up for 2007. Unfortunately, this would be Tiki Barber's last season. He had over 2,100 all-purpose yards, and he just walked off into the sunset. He retired. Shame because as far as him, he played. Of course, he didn't know it at the time, but if he just played one more season, he would have got himself a Super Bowl. Obviously, if he had a crystal ball and said, "Well, if I play one more season, we'll win a Super Bowl." Okay, I'm in for one more season. I heard things. I remember one time listening to him talking in an interview. He was talking about getting beat up, and he'd played at a lot of carries. He had been hit a lot. It was harder and harder to get up in the morning and practice. And I guess he was worried about also maybe about his health, his future health. Keep continually getting beat up and all. But he just said it was harder and harder. And if it's time to go, it's time to go. So unfortunately, the 2006 would be his final season. But if he played like in 2007, he would have got himself a Super Bowl. But if he played any amount of games, he would have had he had Tiki Barber 2004, 2005, and 2006 had over 2,000 yards between rushing and receiving 3 straight seasons, and then he just retired. So, if he came back and he stayed healthy and all, 2007, I'm sure he could have had at least 1,500 yards all purpose, where he gave him over 17,000 yards between rushing and receiving. He would have had a Super Bowl win. It would have been tough to keep him maybe out of the Hall of Fame, because it's where he stands right now. I'd have to go back and look, but where he stands right now, I think he's like, I forgot what he's like, 14th or 15th overall with total yards. Almost like everybody in front of him are either in the Hall of Fame or going to be in the Hall of Fame. So if he played one more season and got about 17,000 all-purpose yards and a Super Bowl win, really would have been tough to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. But it is what it is. But this was his final season. It was probably, it might have been his all-purpose wise, might have been his best season. He really, really helped put the team on his back and get the Giants into the playoffs. So let's say so. Let's start off. The Giants started off well preseason wise. They did a very good job. All right, preseason started off on August 8th. Oh my bad. August 11th. Away against the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. They would beat the Ravens 17-16. The following week at home, the Giants played the Kansas City Chiefs on August 17th. The Giants would 17-0 win by a shutout. The following week, they played their annual game against the New York Jets. This time, the Giants were the road team at Giants Stadium, and the Giants would win 13-7. So, another very good outing, especially by the defense. Then the Giants would finish up. They would play at home against the New England Patriots on Thursday, August 31st, and they would beat the Patriots 31-23. So the Giants actually finished the preseason 4-0. Very, very good. All right. What does Wikipedia have to say about the 2006 season here? The 2006 New York Giants season was the franchise's 82nd season in the National Football League. The season began with the team trying to improve on their 11-5 record from 2005. That did not happen, which saw them win in 2005. They had a record 11-5, which saw them win the NFC East. That did not win the NFC East. They did not win the NFC East in 2006 or improve on that record, falling to 8-8 on the season after starting 6-2. However, head coach Tom Coughlin became the first Giants coach since Bill Parcells to lead the team to consecutive playoff berths, as the team qualified as one of the 2 NFC wildcard teams. This was Tiki Barber's final season in the NFL, sadly. The offseason in 2006, the Giants acquired 3-time Pro Bowl linebacker LeVar Arrington. as a free agent. Arrington previously played for the Redskins for 6 seasons. The Giants also acquired cornerback Sam Madison as a free agent. Madison played 9 seasons with the Dolphins and went to the Pro Bowl 4 straight times from 1999 to 2002. Other notable free agents, I mean, this is where the Giants got the M&M combo. They got McQuarters and Madison in 2006. Other notable free agent signings for the Giants, including free safety Will Demps from the Ravens, cornerback R.W. McQuarters from the Lions, and linebacker Brandon Short from the Panthers. So the Giants were, acquiring, they had good talent. Unfortunately, Arrington wound up getting injured, and I don't think he ever played ever again. He got injured, I believe, early on. One of the first, I know it was against the Cowboys. What game was it? Bum, 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 bum. Might have been week 6 against, or actually it was week 7 in their 6th game of the season. They played the Cowboys and they lost 36-22. And let's see here. Oh, there we are. LeVar Arrington played in 6 games, and he got injured against the Dallas Cowboys, and he never played ever again. So, I mean, actually, let's see. What do we have? He played in 6 games. He had 6 tackles for the Giants. Nothing else. He had a sack. 3 passes defense. He played in 6 games. He started in 5 of them for the Giants, but he got injured and he never played ever again. It's a shame. Because obviously he would have been around in 2007 for the Giants, and that really would have helped. Once again, the push for the Super Bowl. But I mean, but you start seeing a lot of these pieces were all going into place. I mean, with McQuarters, Madison, Brandon Short, before LeVar Arrington would have been around, but he got injured. But I mean, they just, the pieces were there. They were starting to come together, and for to make that Super Bowl run, magical Super Bowl run in 2007. They had Brandon Jacobs, of course. In 2007, they would draft Ahmad Bradshaw in the 7th round, so they'd have their 2 running backs to take the place of Tiki Barber in 2007. So. All right. In the 2006 NFL draft, the Giants used their first pick, acquired from the Pittsburgh Steelers on Boston College, Matthias Kiwanuka. I'll go over the rest of their picks, here in a minute here. The Giants said here, even Wikipedia says the Giants posted a 4-0 record in the preseason, the first undefeated preseason since 1990, the same season that they won Super Bowl 25. So, all right, here we go. Barber led the Giants with 1,662 yards and over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Eli Manning threw for 3,244 yards, 24 touchdowns. He had 18 interceptions. Jeremy Shockey led the team in receptions. Defensively, the team struggled all season along with pass defense. They were 28th in the league, and they didn't get many. The offensive line did rather well. Didn't give up many sacks. We'll go over that in a little bit, but the defensive line was not very impressive. They didn't get many sacks. So let's go over the New York Giants draft picks here. All right, so in the first round. Let's see here. Guy Wimper. Okay, let's see here. Now, what happened to Giants? Actually, the Steelers, who won the Super Bowl the year before, were picking 32nd in the first round. The Giants were picking 25th. So the Steelers made a trade. They basically swapped pick the first round picks, and the Giants got other picks with the Steelers. So the Steelers traded up from 32 to 25, and they took Santonio Holmes. Wound up being a very good pick for them. But in return, the Giants wound up getting, let's see, the Steelers, they got their first round pick. They got a 3rd round pick. They got a 4th round pick. So So the Steelers to jump up from 32 to 25, the Steelers had to give up their first round pick. So basically swap first round picks, but Steelers also gave up a third round pick and a fourth round pick. So it worked out pretty well for the Giants. And of course, then they wound up taking Matthias Kiwanuka, with their picks, which wound up being the 32nd pick in the first round, the final pick of the first round. The Giants took Matthias Kiwanuka. It's a very solid. I mean, not a Hall of Fame or nothing like that, but he had, how long did he play for the Giants? I mean, it was a nice long career, a very solid pick. 32 overall. What was he? Played 9 seasons, 2006 to 2014. My man, right? Yeah. He played 100, he started 82 games with the Giants. He played in 120 games. Sacks. He had 38 and a half sacks. I mean, just a very solid. I mean, he had a couple seasons where he got dinged up. 2010, he only played in 3 games. 2012, he played in all 16, but he only started in 5. But all in all, a very solid pick for the New York Giants. My man Matthias, he got himself 2 Super Bowl rings. Good for you, brother. Good for you, man. All right, so then we go from that pick to a absolute waste of a pick. Sonoris Morse. I mean, oh my God. Let's see. Pick number 44 overall. The Giants took Sonoris Morse, a wide receiver from the U. I mean, what did he do here? In 4 seasons with the Giants, he had a grand total of 39. They're your second round pick. 4 seasons with the Giants, he had 39 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Absolute trash of a pick. He started. This just goes to show you how absolutely horrible, once again, trash of a pick that he played. He started in 2 games for the Giants in 4 seasons. He played 37 games. He was injured a lot. He never played in 16 games, never played a whole season. His first season, he played in 6 games. His final season, he only played 4 seasons, and he was out of the league. I mean, just trash, absolute trash of a pick. All right. So let's go on here. Let's see. I know the Giants did some wheeling and dealing here. Let's see here. All right. So that's the second round. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Actually, what wound up happening here, the Giants wanted, for some reason, the Giants actually, they traded a couple of their picks. The Giants and the Ravens wound up swapping picks in the second round. So the Giants jumped up and swapped with the Ravens, and the Giants drafted Sonoris Morse. I mean, once again, absolute horrible pick. Horrible pick. All right, in the third round, let's see here. The Giants, the Giants' third round pick, the Giants gave, because the Giants did some wheeling and dealing with the Ravens, so the Giants gave their own third round pick away to the Ravens in the Sonoris Morse deal. But in the third round, the Giants had the Steelers pick. So in the third round, the Giants had the Steelers pick, and the Giants took Jarvis Wilkinson. Yeah. He played 5 seasons in the NFL. I don't think they're all with the Giants here. He was a linebacker. Oh, yeah, they were all with the Giants. Yeah. Okay, my bad. He played from 2006 to 2010 with the Giants. But once again, he was a third-round pick. They drafted him as a linebacker. He started in 7 games for the Giants. I mean, a third-round pick, and he starts in 7 games. Once again, horrible pick. So. All right, let's see. I mean, you do this stuff nowadays, and you can't be missing out on your second and third round picks nowadays. All right, so in the fourth round, the Giants took Barry Cofield, And then with the Giants' own pick, the Giants took Barry Cofield, and then they had the Steelers pick when the Steelers jumped up and took Santonio Holmes. So the Giants had the Steelers pick in the 4th round, and the Giants took Guy Wimper. Now, Barry Cofield, very good pick. He played twice for the Giants. He played from 2005 to 2010 with the Giants. He was a defensive tackle, and then he went to the Washington Redskins from 2011 to 2014. And in 2015, he came back, and I guess he tried to resurrect his career and play back with the Giants. He played 3 games for the Giants in 2015, and that was it. His career was over. But a very solid, very, very, very solid pick. I mean, 2007, he really did a very good job for the Giants on their defensive front. He played in all 16 games in 2007. He started in 15 of them. Actually, 2006, he played and started all 16 games. 2008, he played and started in 15 games. 2009, he played in 16, started in 16. 2010, he started and played in 16. So he was very, very good pick for the New York Giants. Very good pick, especially in the 4th round. I mean, you can't complain at all about Mr. Cofield being picked in the 4th round. Guy Wimper, on the other hand, actually played 7 seasons in the NFL, but how many were with the Giants? He played 3 seasons with the Giants. 4th round pick. He didn't start in 1 game. He was a tackle. Of course, the Giants didn't need a tackle at the time because, I mean, between like Deal and McKenzie, we had our tackles, right? But so he pretty much, I guess he played pretty much, I guess maybe special teams or whatever. Tackle, Guy Wimper. Well, actually, it's weird because a Pro Football Reference up top, they have him as tackle. It must be a defensive tackle. Guy Wimper, he was a defensive tackle. Because here it says for the Giants, he played defensive end for the Giants, not an offensive tackle. So he played defensive end for the Giants. But he didn't start in any games. In 2010, he played with Jacksonville. 2011 and 2012, he played with Jacksonville. In 2013, he ended his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, he played 3 seasons for the Giants at defensive end. I'm sorry, because up here at the top it says Pro Football Reference position. It says tackle. I guess that must have been a defensive tackle. But they said, he 4th round pick, and he didn't start in any games at all for the Giants. So not a phenomenal pick. Barry Cofield was, but Guy Wimper was not. So the Giants had 2 picks in the 4th round. All right, now they took in the 5th round, they took Charlie Peppra, a defensive back from Alabama. He played 7 seasons in the NFL. None of them with the Giants. The Giants, I think, either cut him or waived him before the start of the season. I think the Green Bay Packers were the one who picked him up off of waivers. Yeah. So the Giants drafted this guy, Peppra. He was a defensive back, and the Packers picked him up, and he wound up playing 3 seasons. He played 2006, 2007, and 2008 with the Packers. 2009, he played with the Falcons. 2010, 2011, he went back to the Packers and then finished up his career in 2012 playing for the Dallas Cowboys. So he played 7 seasons in the NFL, but none of them were with the Giants because the Giants cut him before the season started. So that's Charlie Peppra, a defensive back. All right, then the Giants, let's see here. That was the 5th round. The 6th round, the Giants did not have a pick. Because the Giants, the year before, they traded with the Buccaneers. The Giants got Jason Whittle from the Buccaneers. So the Giants traded away their 7th round pick from 2005 and their 6th round pick in 2006 to the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers had the Giants' 6th round pick in the 2006 NFL draft. So that's why the Giants didn't have it, because they traded with the Buccaneers in 2005 to get Jason Whittle. But the 7th round pick, the Giants wound up taking Jerick McPherson. And the Giants had no compensatory picks. I didn't know. So they took Jerick McPherson, And he never, I mean, once again, he was a 7th round pick. It is what it is. Jerick McPherson, a defensive back from Maryland. Whoa, hey. Our 2023 NFL draft, our defensive back pick from Maryland was going to wind up having a lot more success than Jerick McPherson. Mr. Banks is going to have a much better career because in the 7th round, Jerick McPherson, the defensive back from Maryland, he never made it. Didn't play it down in the NFL at all for anybody. So, but those are the Giants draft picks. I mean, Matthias Kiwanuka, very good, and Barry Cofield, very, very good. 2 very solid picks. But other than that, Sonoris Moss was just trash. Their 2nd and 3rd round picks were not very good. Not very good at all. So, I mean, if Shane and company struck out were pretty bad, with the Sonoris Moss and Jared, as the Giants did back in 2006, Ernie Accorsi did. I mean, this was Ernie Accorsi's, this is his final season as the GM because Jerry Reese took over in 2007 as the GM of the Giants, and Jerry Reese had his best draft class in 2007. But this was Ernie Accorsi's final draft class for the New York Giants in 2006, and it was not very good. It was not a very good one. I mean, Ernie Accorsi had some winners, but this 2006 NFL draft for the New York Giants was certainly not one of them. All right, so let's go over. All right, the 2006 season for the New York Football Giants. Now, the Giants started, they as I read in Wikipedia, they started off 6-2. Then the bottom kind of fell out. And then, of course, they wound up losing in the first round playoffs to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I said, now, Eli Manning, once again, he's in the middle of a streak. He started and played in all 16 games. He completed 57.7% of his passes, had 3,244 yards, threw for 24 touchdowns, but had 18 interceptions. So, I mean, as much as we love Eli and all of that stuff, man threw some interceptions. Man was a slinger. He slung it, but he threw a lot of interceptions as well, too. And I said, Tiki Barber had 1,662 yards rushing, averaged 5.1 yards a carry, had 465 receiving yards. So, I mean, what's that? He had over 2,100 yards, so like 2,125 yards, somewhere right around there, all purpose. I mean, just phenomenal. Basically, him and Brandon Jacobs were the entire run game. Eli Manning ran the ball 25 times. Jim Finn took 2 carries, our fullback. Chad Morton ran the ball 1 time. But other than that, really didn't have anybody run the ball. I mean, basically it was either Tiki Barber or Brandon Jacobs who ran the ball. Brandon Jacobs had 9 touchdowns because a lot of times what happened, we would get down inside the 5 or whatever, like they get down by the goal line. Of course, we'd hand it off to Brandon Jacobs. That's why Tiki Barber only had 5 rushing touchdowns, and Brandon Jacobs, who carried the ball like one fourth the amount of times, had 9 touchdowns. Because as I said, we get it toward the end zone and to hand off to Brandon Jacobs because he could smash into the line and score the touchdowns. Now, Tiki Barber had 58 receptions. Jeremy Shockey had 66. Plexico Burress had 63. Tim Carter had 22. David Tyree, Mr. Helmet Catch, had 19. Visante Shanko had 12 receptions. Monty Toomer was hurt half the season. He only played in 8 games. He had 32 receptions. But you can see if he played all year long, he would have had about 64 receptions. Shockey had 66. Plexico had 63. So, I mean, and Tiki Barber had 58. So, let's see where we at here. Jay Feely did pretty good. I mean, he was 23 out of 27 kicking field goals. Did a very, very 85.2%. Made all the extra points. Jeff Beagles had another solid season for the Giants. The thing, as I said here on the sacks, the Giants as a defense only had 32 sacks all season long. Their offensive line did very well. They only gave up 25 sacks, but let's see. Plexico Burress led the team with 10 touchdowns. All right, I mean, what a threat he was. Let's see. So what do we got here? Plaxico Burress, he caught 63 passes and scored 10 touchdowns. So basically 1 out of every 6 receptions he had, 1 for a touchdown. What a threat. What a threat. What a pickup he was. Jeremy Shockey had 7 touchdowns. Right? But I mean, what a pickup he was, boy. I'll tell you. You don't know how valuable he was. And it's a shame he didn't shooting himself in the leg in 2000 during the 2008 season. I mean, or the Giants could have possibly won back-to-back Super Bowls in 2008, but it's another story for the 2008 season. So, which I'll be bringing that up. So all in all, I mean, the Giants. I mean, let's see. The Giants scored 22 points per game, but they gave up 22 points per game. So they were just very, very, basically you give up as many points as you score. What do you wind up with? An 8-8 record. So that's what the Giants wind up with. I said, but the Giants started off 6-2. 6-2. Now, of course, the first game of the season was little brother against big brother, right? Eli versus Peyton. The Indianapolis Colts came into New York, played the Giants. I mean, the Giants, I don't want to say outplayed them, but the Giants had more yards. I mean, the Giants put up some yards. I mean, they had 23 first downs. The Colts had 22, but the Giants had 433 yards of offense. They had 186 yards rushing. The Colts only could get 55 yards rushing. The Giants had 2 turnovers. The Colts only had 1. I mean, it was a very, very even game. But, of course, big brother Peyton, he would wind up prevailing. Let's see, what do we got here? The Giant Brandon Jacobs scored with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter to make it 23-21 Colts. With a minute left to go, Adam Vinatieri kicked the 32-yard field goal to put the Colts up 26-21. So Eli and the Giants got a chance. They got the ball back. They had a chance, but they couldn't do nothing with it. So the Giants would lose 26-21. So they started the season off 0-1. But there were better times ahead. The following week, the Giants would win. Now, this one here, I mean, as some of the heartbreakers that the Giants have had, this one was very rewarding. Giants' second week of the season went on the road. They played against the Eagles in Philadelphia. The Giants were down 24-7 going into the fourth quarter. The Giants scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. Jay Feely kicked a 35-yard field goal with 7 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter to tie the game at 24. So the Giants were down 24-7 going into the fourth quarter. They tied it up, and then they wound up winning. Plaxico Burress had scored a 31-yard touchdown pass from Eli Manning with 3 minutes, 11 seconds left to go in overtime, and the Giants would walk out with 30-24 winners. I mean, that game was sweet. That was sweet. Let me tell you what. So now the Giants, right, after that, they were 1-1. Then they would lose the next game. They would lose 42-30. They played in Seattle. They would lose 42-30 to the Seahawks. And now the Giants are 1-2. Not looking real good. But the Giants would win their next 5 games. They beat the Washington Redskins at home 19-3. To go 2-2. The following week, they would play in Atlanta, and they would beat the Falcons 27-14. Now, the Giants are 3-2. Then the Giants would go on the road in Dallas and beat the Cowboys 36-22. So now the Giants are 4-2. The Giants, the following week, played Tampa Bay at home and would win 17-3. Now the Giants are 5-2. All right, then we have the following week, the Giants would wind up playing the Houston Texans at home, and the Giants would win 14-10. Now the Giants are 6-2. All right, baby, here we go, right? No. The Giants would lose the next 4 games. This one. I mean, the Bears this year were very good. The Bears went to the Super Bowl this year, so you got to give them some props here, right? But this one, I remember Devin Hester returned a. I think it was right before the first half. Returned a missed field goal. It was short. He returned it 108 yards back for a touchdown. So the Giants, it was Sunday night, I believe it was. Yeah, Sunday night, November 12th, against the Chicago Bears at home. The Giants would lose 38-20 to the Bears. And I said the Bears were a good team that year. Very good team. So now the Giants are 6-3. The following week, the Giants would play in Jacksonville. They would lose to the Jaguars 26-10. So now the Giants are 6-4. Now this one here, this is the gut punch right here. This one right here. The Giants the following week played in Tennessee. And the Giants were winning 21-0 going into the fourth quarter. With 10 minutes left to go in the game. 10 minutes to go in the game. The Giants were up 21-0. Somehow in the final 9.5 minutes of the game, the Giants gave up 4 scores. They gave up 24 points to the Tennessee Titans, and they lost. Rob Baronis. My Baronis, or Rob Baronis, as they used to do on ESPN, Sunday Night Countdown or whatever it was. That was their nickname. Instead of my Sharona from the Knack, it was Rob Baronis. But anyway, Rob Baronis kicked a 49-yard field goal with 6 seconds left to go, giving the Tennessee Titans their 24th point, and they would win 24-21. The one thing that really just got me, I mean, there was a bunch of things that just got me, especially in the 10 minutes to go, they gave up 4 scores. Unbelievable. But the one thing that really got me, I think it was Mathias Kiwanuka. Earlier in the game, what happened was, and this was one of the turning points, and this really helped propel the Titans to a victory in this one. And I'll never forget this. Earlier in the game, Mathias Kiwanuka went in, and I think he got called for a roughing the passer penalty on Vince Young. He either went in and hit him late, or he hit him and he tackled him late, or whatever it was, or something. And it got called for roughing the passer. So during the fourth quarter, one of these drives that the Titans had, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but the other thing too was the Titans scored 2 times in the final 44 seconds of the game. They scored with 44 seconds left to go. They scored the tying touchdown, and then they got the ball back somehow. And with 6 seconds left to go, I don't know if Eli threw an interception. I know he threw an interception. I'm not sure if that's what turned the tide in this one too, but the Titans scored 2 times in the final 44 seconds of the game to win it. But anyway, Mathias Kiwanuka, during one of the Titans' drives when they wound up scoring in the fourth quarter, what wound up happening was, because he got called for roughing the passer earlier in the game, he came crashing in. He had his arms around Vince Young. He had his arms around him for like about a second. So I guess he thought that he it seemed like he didn't want to tackle him because he was going to get called for roughing the passer once again. So he had his arms around Vince Young for like about a second. And I guess he thought they were going to blow the whistle that he was sacked or something like that, or whatever it was. No, so he had his arms around them. And after about a second, then he let him go. He went like this. Vince Young scrambles, gets the first down. They continue to drive, and they score a touchdown. And Tom Coughlin is like yelling at him, or something like whatever he's saying, like, what are you doing, or something, you know what I mean? Because he had him wrapped up. He didn't want to tackle him and bring him to the ground because he got called for roughing the passer earlier in the game. And he didn't want to have that happen again. So he came in, wrapped him up, held on to him for like a second, let him go, and Vince Young scrambles out, gets the first down. It's unbelievable. And of course, on that drive, they wound up scoring a touchdown. It was one of the touchdowns. It was just unbelievable. Some of these games I can't even talk. I can't even talk about. All right, so after that, and as I said, they scored 2 times in the final 44 seconds of the game. They scored 10 points in the final 44 seconds. Oh, God, I can't stand some of these freaking games. So now the Giants are 6-5. So the Giants would face the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys that would come play at Giants Stadium. And, of course, the Giants would lose. And the Cowboys, Martin Gramatica kicked a 46-yard field goal with 1 second left to go, and the Cowboys would win 23-20. I mean, it was just like gut-wrenching loss after. The Cowboys were good. They were 8-4 at the time. The Giants fell to 6-6. But I mean, see what wound up happening was the Giants tied the game up. Plexico Burress caught a 5-yard touchdown pass from Eli Manning with 1:06 left to go in the game to tie the game up at 20. So, of course, they kicked the ball to the Cowboys. Cowboys just marched down the field. Martin Gramatica, 46-yard field goal. Good! Giants lose. Just another gut-wrenching loss to the Cowboys. God, I freaking hate some. It's just some of these games I can't stand talking about. So now the Giants are 6-6. The Giants would finally, on the road to play in Carolina, they would win 27-13. Now the Giants are 7-6. Giants will lose their next 2 games. They played Philadelphia Eagles at home, and the Eagles got some revenge on the Giants. The Eagles would beat the Giants 36-22. Now the Giants are 7-7. So then the Giants faced the New Orleans Saints at home, and they would lose 30-7. So now the Giants are 7-8. Things are not looking very good at all for the Giants. So the final game of the season, the Giants have to win it to basically have a shot at making the playoffs. So they played apparently Saturday night at 8:05. They went into Washington and they played against the Redskins. And this was the one game here where Tiki Barber put the Giants on his back and said, "Guys, we're going to the playoffs." Tiki Barber had 234 yards rushing. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. He caught 3 passes for another 24 yards. So basically, he had almost 260 yards of offense. He put the team on his back and said, "Guys, get on his back right here, guys. We're going to the playoffs." I mean, and of course, this was his final regular season game ever. He had 234 yards rushing, and then he retires after their playoff loss. Such a shame. I mean, I'm sure he could have played another season if he wanted to. But the Giants wound up winning 34-28. I mean, Tiki Barber had a 15-yard touchdown run, a 55-yard touchdown run. He had a 50-yard touchdown run. I mean, just phenomenal. The Giants were up 34-21 with 3 minutes and 22 seconds. Mike Sellers scored a 1-yard touchdown pass from Jason Campbell to make it 34-28. The Giants, and the Giants wound up holding on for the victory. So the Giants finished at 8-8. So if we go to the NFL, we'll find out exactly why the Giants wound up going to the playoffs, and the other 3 teams who had 8-8 records didn't. But let's go to Wikipedia, right? So 2006 NFL season. The 2006 NFL season was the 87th season in regular season in the history of the National Football League, because the NFL started in 1920, Giants started in 1925. So this is the 82nd season for the Giants, the 87th season in the history of the NFL. The regular season play was held from September 7th to December 31st. The season began with the reigning Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers defeating the Miami Dolphins in the NFL kickoff game. The NFL title was eventually won by the Colts when they defeated the Chicago Bears at the Super Bowl at Dolphin Stadium at Miami Gardens, Florida on February 4th, 2007. And it rained. Oh, yeah, it rained. Let's see here. Paul Tagliabue announced his retirement, and on August 8th of 2006, the league team owner selected Roger Goodell, right? So Roger Goodell's been around since 2006 as the commish. So he's getting up there as far as years wise. So good for him. All right, but let's see. So let's start off with the AFC. All right, what happened in the AFC? The AFC East, the Patriots won with a record of 12-4, and the Jets had a record of 10-6. So the New York Jets went to the playoffs as a wild card team. The AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens won with a record of 13-3. The Colts had a record of 12-4. And then you had in the AFC West, the San Diego Chargers with a record of 14-2. Marty Schottenheimer. But of course, when it comes to the playoffs, he couldn't win the playoff games. But they were 14-2 in the regular season. The Kansas City Chiefs got the other wild card with a record of 9-7. So in the AFC playoffs, the first round, the Mr. Brady and Tom Brady and the Patriots beat the Jets 37-16. And then in the RCA Dome, the Colts beat the Kansas City Chiefs 23-8. So in the divisional round, New England beat San Diego 24-21, And the Colts beat the Baltimore Ravens 15-6, setting up one of the many matchups between Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Ooh. And of course, as what happened most of the time, Tom Brady would wind up, Tom Brady usually wound up winning, but not this time. The Colts would win at the RCA Dome. This was a very, very exciting game. Usually Tom Brady, when it came to when Tom Brady and Peyton Manning played each other in the playoffs, usually Tom Brady got the best of them, but not this one time here. The Colts wound up winning 38-34 at the RCA Dome. It was a very, very exciting game. Very exciting game. So that sent the Colts to the Super Bowl. So in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles won the NFC East with a record of 10-6. The Cowboys got one wild card with a record of 9-7. The Giants got the other wild card with a record of 8-8. I'll go over that in just more in a minute here. The NFC North, the Bears won with a record of 13-3. Now remember, they were very good. They had a very good defense and they had a very good offense. And they had Devin Hester. The NFC South was won by the New Orleans Saints with a record of 10-6, and the NFC West was won by the Seattle Seahawks with a record of 9-7. The Giants, the Packers, the Panthers, and the Rams, those four teams all wound up 8-8. But the Giants clinched the NFC number 6 seed based on a better strength of victory than the Green Bay Packers. So I'm not exactly sure. They said the better strength of victory, I guess maybe against common opponents. I'm not exactly sure. The Giants' better strength of victory was 422. The Packers was only 383. I'm not exactly sure exactly what that means. But while Carolina and St. Louis both were eliminated from playoff contention because the New York Giants and Green Bay Packers had better conference records, the Giants' conference record was 7-5. The Packers' conference record was 6-6, and I guess Carolina and St. Louis both had losing conference records, so that eliminated those two. So I guess the wind up having the Giants and the Packers went head to head, and somehow based on better strength of victory. I'm not sure what that means. The Giants' strength of victory was 0.422. The Packers' strength of victory was 383. So that's why the Giants, out of those four teams, that's why the Giants wound up with the wild card. And those other three teams did not. So in the playoffs, this one here. I think that this was the Tony Romo where he bobbled. They played the Seahawks. Where the Seattle Seahawks would beat the Cowboys 21-20. However, with whatever, I don't know what it was, 5 seconds, 10 seconds to go. The Cowboys had the ball, I don't know, I was going to say around the 4-yard line or so. They went for the field goal. It's like, what, 21-yard field goal, 22, whatever it was. It was a short field goal. It was about as an extra point was. Ball got snapped back to Tony Romo. He had the ball. He went to go put the ball down, and somehow it slipped out of his hands and laid on the ground. He picked it up. He tried to run. He still could have gotten the first down, but he also could have gotten a touchdown as well too. But what wound up happening was he picked the ball up and he started running, and he got tackled from behind. He got tackled like down around like the 2-yard line. One of the guys from the backside. By the time he picked the ball up and he started running with it, and he had open space, but a guy from behind caught him from behind, and he fell down, I think, around the 2-yard line. So I don't think he can get a first down or a touchdown, nothing. But if he could have just got the ball, put the ball down, and it would kick the field goal, the Cowboys would have won the game. But he bobbled the ball. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. You feel bad. I felt bad for Bill Parcells because he was the coach. I really felt bad for him. But it is what it is. The Seahawks would wind up winning 21-20. Now the Giants lost. They played at Lincoln Financial Field against the Philadelphia Eagles. It was just, it was a gut punch because, you're losing to the Eagles. But of course, as the Giants did quite often during the season, they would lose on a last-second field goal. Gotta love it. Just gotta love it. Just especially against the Eagles. So the Giants tied it up I mean, it was a very, it was either team could have won. Either team could have won. The Eagles won. They deserved to win. Um, the Eagles had 323 yards of offense. The Giants had 305. The Giants had one turnover. The Eagles didn't have any. Giants had 17 first downs. The Eagles had 19. It was very, each team had the ball for almost 30 minutes. It was very even game. Either team could have won. The Eagles won. They won. They won. They deserved to win. But I'm saying the thing it was a gut punch was with 5 minutes and 4 seconds left to go. Plaxico Burress scored an 11-yard touchdown pass from Eli Manning to tie the game at 20-20. But of course, as well would wind up happening, the Eagles would get the ball back and march down the field. And it was no time. Well, actually, I guess his time expired. David Akers kicked the 38-yard field goal. It's good. The Giants lose. Just a gut punch, straight up, freaking gut punch. I mean, it's God, I hate that. I hate talking some of these games. I just can't stand talking, like reliving them, talking about, as time expires, they wind up losing. It's just unbelievable. So the Eagles would wind up winning 23-20. Said it was a good game, very exciting game. It's just, to lose on the last second field goal. So in the divisional round, the New Orleans Saints would beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-24. I was very happy about that. And then the Chicago Bears in overtime would beat the Seattle Seahawks 27-24, setting up the championship game between the Bears and the Saints, and the Bears would win 39-14. So sending the Bears to the Super Bowl against the Colts. So the Super Bowl, it was good. I mean, it was played in a lot of rain. You might even say it was raining out. But it was entertaining. It was close. Let's see. Chicago kicked a 44-yard field goal. Well, let's go from the beginning, shall we? Devin, I mean, of course, it started off with the man, Devin Hester. 92-yard. He started the game off with a kickoff return back for a touchdown. So the Chicago Bears went up 7-0. Reggie Wayne caught a 53-yard touchdown pass from Peyton Manning. Adam Vinatieri's kick was no good. The snap was fumbled. So the Bears were winning 7-6. The Bears, Mushin Muhammad caught a 4-yard touchdown reception from Rex Grossman to put the Bears up 14-6 with 4.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Unfortunately for the Bears, the whole rest of the game would kick one field goal. So, but the Bears had a 14-6 lead. In the second quarter, and Vinatieri kicked a 29-yard field goal to make it 14-9. And then with 6 minutes and 9 seconds left to go, Dominic Rhodes ran a 1-yard touchdown run, and Adam Vinatieri's extra point was good. So at halftime, it was 16-14. Good game. Let's see here. Then the Colts got two more field goals in the third quarter to go up 22-14. Then Robbie Gould, guy's been around for freaking forever. Robbie Gould kicked a 44-yard field goal with 1 minute and 14 seconds left to go in the third quarter to make the score 22-17. So the Bears are only down by 5 points going into the fourth quarter. It's anybody's game. But the Bears, as I said, they only scored one field goal in the second, third, and fourth quarter. Final three quarters, they scored 3 points. Not going to get it done. What basically sealed the deal was an interception return of 56 yards for a touchdown by Kelvin Hayden. Adam Vinatieri's extra point was good, giving the Colts 7 more points to making the final score 29-17. After they scored those 14 points, the Bears basically couldn't do much of anything on offense. Let's see. The Bears had 11 first downs altogether. They had 265 yards of offense. The Colts had 430 yards of offense. The Colts had 24 first downs. The Bears had 11. The Colts had the ball for 38 minutes. The Bears had it for 22. The Bears had 5 turnovers. The Colts had 3, but the Bears had 5 turnovers. And, of course, the final one was the dagger, right? The interception return for a touchdown, making the score, 29-17, putting them up by 12 points. So, obviously, back then, that's 2 touchdowns. So, wasn't going to get it done. As I said, I mean, the Bears scored 14 points in the first quarter. And the whole rest of the game, the final 3 quarters, they only scored 3 points. So wasn't going to get it done. I mean, it was an entertaining game, good game, but obviously the Colts were the best team in the NFL. They were the best team in the obviously in the Super Bowl. And big brother Peyton won. He deserved to win. The Colts were very, very good. So congratulations to the Colts. So that wraps up the 2006 season. It was, kind of up and down, some gut punch losses there for the Giants, 8-8. Not going to get it done, but they made the playoffs. But the foundation is there. The only Giants basically lost after 2006. Sadly, might have actually almost been their best player was Tiki Barber. But between Brandon Jacobs and drafting and having Derek Ward and drafting Ahmad Bradshaw, the Giants were very capable of their backfield. They had their offensive weapons. They would have Cyber. They'd have Deal. They'd have O'Hara. They'd have Snead. They'd have McKenzie. They had the offensive line. You got Eli Manning. You got Plaxico. You got Amani Tuma. You got Shockey. You got Ward. You got Jacobs. You got Ahmad Bradshaw. You got their running back. We were set on offense. Then, of course, with the defense started stepping up and they started becoming better and better as the season went on. So the foundation was there. We're all ready for the 2007 New York Giants, baby. What a glorious season it would be, but that's tomorrow night. So, like I said, that wraps up the 2006 season. Very mediocre, 8-8. They got to the playoffs, but they were losing a gut punch to the Philadelphia Eagles. They would lose 23-20 to the Eagles in the playoffs. So that wraps up the 2006 season. I'll be back again tomorrow night with the 2007 season. And we all know what happened in 2007 with the New York Giants. And the 2007 just happened to be the 83rd season in history of the New York Giants. I'll see you then.